As a chosen one, you're going to have your haters. At certain times in life, you might have more than others, but you're always going to have haters in your life. Haters come from a place of insecurity. Haters come from a place of scarcity, thinking there's not enough room for everyone to be blessed, to be achieving. So they think if you're achieving, that means there's less achievement for them available. That's scarcity. Insecurity, they are negative individuals, so they focus on their insecurities instead of focusing on their strengths. So these haters will attempt to discredit you, belittle you, no matter how good you're doing. So whether you're achieving a lot or achieving very little, they're still going to feel that need to discredit, belittle, and demean you. It's fueled from a place of jealousy, scarcity, insecurity. They see your light showing that they don't have much of a light. They see your light as shining on their insecurities, their negative mindset, and causing what is normally in the shadows to be shown to everyone. So their weaknesses, the things that they're insecure about. Another analogy is that they see you as a mirror. And when they look into you, they feel like they're looking in a mirror that shows their lack, their insecurities. Let's say you have a job, and like most chosen ones, you have a good work ethic. At first, they're going to see that positive energy and that can-do attitude as attractive. But that's why chosen ones so frequently, by like that second month or that third month, are going to have a smear campaign or people gossiping and looking at them. And it's because that good work ethic of yours and that positive energy and that can-do attitude starts to make them feel uncomfortable. They might be a little bit insecure on how they check their emails a lot when they should be working. Or they sneak out their phone and do a little social media when they should be working. Generally, your good work ethic is highly visible, and it's like a light that shines on their laziness, and they feel shows off to others their lack of a good work ethic and the presence of laziness. So they're gonna start to harass and show hatred in one way or another. And as, a chosen one, we're usually kind of open targets, because just like narcissists think that everyone plays these psychological warfare games and mind games, we kind of assume everyone's like us, which is just goodwill, pure intentions. And so we're often kind of open targets. Take, for instance, Joseph from the Old Testament. He openly shared with his brothers these dreams where he was going to be an extremely important person, much more important than them, and that they would have to answer to him. And this is shortly after his father gives him a robe of many colors that's very expensive. They didn't get that robe. So if he was maybe older and had been through more toxic relationships and was a little bit wiser, he would have been a lot more careful. Maybe he would have saved that robe for when he was not going to be around the brothers, because it's kind of like salt in the wounds. They didn't get that robe, he did. So he was favored by his father. And anytime he wore that robe, it's kind of like rubbing salt in the wounds. Dad favors me, see? And so he didn't think that. And he didn't think, by telling these brothers that he had this dream that was so vivid, it felt like a prophecy, that now he's in God's favor too. And God's saying, you're going to be ruling over your brothers, you're going to be more important than them. And he openly shares that with them. So that's a good example of how chosen ones are trusting of others. As a chosen one, you will regularly give people the benefit of the doubt. And when someone's being abusive and toxic towards you, you think it's just due to the circumstances in this present situation, and you think there will be smooth sailing ahead. You'll think of it as there's just a bump in the road, because we want to give people the benefit of the doubt. We want to try to be understanding and think, this isn't what this person is all about. This is due to some frustrating circumstances they're going through. Because like I said, we want to always think that people are genuinely good. And so we allow ourselves to be abused sometimes and mistreated by the same person over and over and over and over again. So in a way, I grew up surfing, and you always get dings in surfboards. And you take the resin, and then you take the catalyst, which is the hardener. And as soon as you put them together, you only have a couple minutes to smear that on the wound, the open ding on the surfboard. Because as soon as you take that catalyst and put it in the resin, it's going to harden very quickly within a couple of minutes. We are the catalysts to these abusive people. Unknowingly, but just our presence and our energy and our positive outlook and all these good things that are endowed from us from the Holy Spirit's presence within is what causes them to become haters and to then focus this negative energy abuse towards us. Something that Jesus always did, that chosen ones always do as well, is we challenge the established norms. Whereas most people prefer to go with the flow, go with the status quo. Don't rock the boat. Don't stir things up. Your boss says A, B, and C. Follow A, B, and C. It doesn't matter how hypocritical or how much it maybe is a little bit backwards. We say how it could be done better. And once again, we're an open target. Most people want to follow those normal accepted rules, whereas Jesus came along and said, sometimes it's appropriate to do work on a Sunday. If you have a goat that falls in a ditch, it's okay to work to get him out of that ditch and save his life. If you come across someone that's really, really in need, it's okay to break the rules on a Sabbath and to help that individual. Even though you might be pulling him, letting him lean on you and take him somewhere and fix him up. And I mean, they said on the Sabbath that this paraplegic, shouldn't even have picked up his mat and carried his mat home. So they were letter of the law. And yet Jesus, this day was made for him, not for him to serve. It was made to worship him because he's God. And he's healing people almost all day, every day. He shouldn't have to take a break on Sunday, especially when he knows it's not wrong to help someone, even if it involves a little bit of work on the Sunday. So he went against the rules because he wasn't going to be contained by them when they weren't making sense. And oftentimes, as chosen ones, we will sometimes tell the boss at work, well, this rule doesn't make sense. Because if we go around this rule, we're going to be much more productive, get more work done in less time, and it still meets the same purpose. When they're only thinking about satisfying the bosses above them that are removed from the workers, and what really makes sense for the workers and the people 2 levels up just want the bosses beneath them to follow the rules. And so they want you to just follow the rules. But down at the worker level, sometimes you see through just the letter of the law, and you want to be able to be as productive as possible, because that's going to help the company. And you might see ways around those rules that make perfectly good sense, but the bosses get irritated with that because it's like, you're a drone, do as you're told, gosh darn it. And you're like, no, I'm not a drone. I'm a worker down here that can see what makes sense and what doesn't make sense, and what you're telling us to do doesn't make sense, because we can go around this and still satisfy the rule. Maybe not the letter of the law, but the rule in general. The superiors won't be any wiser, and we can be much more productive this way. So you actually will open yourself up to getting written up and getting in trouble, because you're willing to say the truth, thinking you're going to benefit the company, and you're going to allow yourselves to be more productive, which should be the end goal of any company. So the chosen ones will often at work come up with alternative ways, or they might state unfairness. If something's being requested of you that has some level of unfairness, you might be the lightning rod that raises his hand in the staff development meeting and says, that's not fair. And that boss immediately goes, Sheldon Brown, I'm lodging this name in my head and I'm coming after him. But once again, like Jesus, sometimes we don't really think about avoiding trouble. We think about calling out hypocrisy. Jesus' actions and what he was teaching went against norms and the strict rules of the day. Doing good should have no restrictions. Chosen ones also face rejection for challenging the status quo. Achievements should really be appreciated and be seen as a source of inspiration for everyone. There is no scarcity. Everyone should come from a mindset of abundance. But with my best friend in high school, I was made team captain junior year. And Pat was upset, my best friend, and because he said, you should have let the team members vote. Because he's an Irishman, always cracking jokes, always screwing around. But he didn't have a good work ethic. He wouldn't do flip turns in the shallow end of the pool. If he thought the coach wasn't looking, he would just stand up 5 feet from the wall and jump off the bottom. So that cuts two corners. Doing a flip turn requires a lot of energy. He wouldn't have to expend that, and he wouldn't have to swim as far, and he could jump off the bottom. That would give him more momentum going back towards the other wall. Well, coach is going to notice that a little bit, and he would like to get the other teammates to see him doing it and to think it's fun to get away with this when coach isn't looking. I didn't do that. I thought I benefit from working hard and work out. And if coach wants to do 5 100s on the 100-second clock, I'm going to do 5 100s on the 100-second clock. So there was that, but this was a vote. No, yeah, it was the coach's decision. He said, I just added up all the points. And Sheldon had the most points out of all the members of the varsity squad. Cut and dry. Well, then next year, Pat thought he should be given that position instantaneously. But he wasn't. And then coach said, okay, well, to satisfy you, because you think you're Mr. Popular and Mr. Cut Up, Mr. Hilarious, I'll leave it to a vote. Everyone gets to vote. And I became team captain again, because these people, he thought everyone was like him, and everyone just wanted the jokester, and the person that always cut corners and made a joke out of it would be voted for. But he wasn't giving them enough credit. They saw the guy with the good work ethic as the best one to be team captain, and they'd already seen how good a job I did the previous year. So I got team captain again. As soon as we finished high school, he pretty much didn't want to be friends with me anymore. All over this thing that I was team captain 2 years in a row. I had another friend that was a surfing friend and also a party friend. And he dropped out of high school, and he thought that was a genius idea, because he just took the GED and he saved himself like a year and a half of having to go into classes every day. Whereas I'm the exact opposite. I worked my tail off in high school. I went to undergrad and worked as a waiter and busboy and host. And then in graduate school, I earned 2 master's degrees in psychology while I was working full-time during the day. So I did double duty. I was working all day, 40 hours a week, and I would go take a full load of graduate school courses in the evenings. And I graduated in 3 years with 2 master's degrees while earning a good living and having my own apartment. He had to live at his parents' house. He had to get a job as an extra where he was earning like $15 an hour. And I earned $44 during 6 hours of work, and then I earned $44 per hour for 2 hours at home. So while we were sitting there playing chess in the evenings, right when I'd get home from work sometimes, I could joke and say, I'm actually still earning $44 an hour while we're playing chess. And so obviously that's shown a bright light on this area of insecurity. When he was 16 and a half, he thought it was the best idea in the world. But now he's 24. 24 is when we first started becoming friends. When I was like 23, he was like 22. So I started working when I was 24, and he would have been 23. And now he's got an insecurity there because he has I was called a school psychologist. People called me Mr. Brown at work. I had to dress with a business shirt, slacks, and dress shoes every day. So I had a certain level of status. He didn't. I earned pretty good money. He didn't. I could afford my own nice place. At one point in time, I had a 68 Mustang, a Eddie Bauer Ford Explorer 4-wheel drive, and a 900 Ninja. And he just used his dad's work car. So now he was really feeling insecure. That had nothing to do with me, and I didn't look down at him. So really, that was the path he chose in life, always choosing the easy way out. And he should not have been jealous of me or been angry at me for working hard and achieving things. But he did. He did have those big sore spots, like big sensitivities. You could look at Cain and Abel. Cain was extremely jealous of Abel because God liked his sacrifice more. Instead of hating Abel for that, he should have just looked inward and said, what was it? What was my heart posture? What was it with my sacrifice that was not as good as my brother's? Instead of taking it personal, he should have just thought, let me emulate Abel. What was it about his heart posture and his sacrifice that was more favorable to God and improved on his next sacrifice? Terrible thing to go murder your brother just because he has a better heart posture, but it shows this insecurity and this scarcity mindset, how it can cause people to act with evil intentions. So I think that's my last example. This video has gone much longer than I planned on. God bless. Leave a message, leave a comment, hit like, please, or subscribe. Thank you. God bless.